Welcome back again, everyone, to your stimulus update for today. On this episode, we have all of the latest information on the state of the stimulus and the negotiations. We're going to talk about Nancy Pelosi's reaction to the new offer, what she's saying most recently about it. We're going to talk about Senate Republicans, how many are against it and how many are not against it. Larry Kudlow this morning giving out more information, and Donald Trump this morning on an interview talking about stimulus. All of that right after this. Once again, welcome back to your stimulus update for today, Sunday, October 11th. I hope you are all enjoying the weekend, your families, and your loved ones. So it's time to talk about stimulus. Let's first talk about Nancy Pelosi. We know that the White House, led by Donald Trump and Steven Mnuchin as the main negotiator, have offered Nancy Pelosi a $1.8 or $1.9 trillion deal, however you want to look at it. And that went forth to Nancy Pelosi in particular Friday, Saturday area. And we know that Nancy Pelosi has basically rejected it. These are the quotes we have from Nancy Pelosi. This past week, the president demonstrated very clearly that he has not taken the war against the virus seriously, personally, or nationally. This attitude is reflected in the grossly inadequate response we have finally received from the administration on Saturday. So she's calling the $1.8, $1.9 trillion deal an inadequate response, even though it's only about $300 or $400 billion away from hers. She said, until these serious issues are resolved, we remain at an impasse. For example, this is a highlighted area where it's inadequate. Pelosi has $75 billion for a national plan of testing, tracing, and treatment. The White House plan has $45 billion. So $75 billion is going to crush the virus. $45 billion is inadequate. Now, of course, she's also going to point to the wording of it, that it doesn't set out a plan to do it, but the money's there. The plan can come with the final bill. She said it's insufficient, and it amounted to one step forward and two steps back. She also said, at this point, we still have a disagreement on many priorities, and Democrats are waiting for language from the administration on several provisions as negotiations on the overall funding amount continue. So a couple of things to get here. First off, obviously, she's not happy with this. Now, again, these people are all politicians, regardless of how you see them. Some people see Nancy Pelosi with a halo behind her back, and some people see Nancy Pelosi with flames behind her back. It doesn't matter how you view her. They are all politicians. So just like Trump, she is going to push back as much as possible because she wants to get everything she can, even if she likes the offer and sees a lot of really good things in there. She can't do that. She can't just say, yeah, we're just going to accept it. She needs to press back. These people are negotiating as hard as possible. Now, I have no problem with hard negotiation, but I do have a problem in this case when the negotiation is hurting the American people. Usually negotiations aren't about things as serious as what's going on right now with the current pandemic and the financial aid that is needed by, hundreds of millions of people around the United States, including small businesses. In addition to Nancy Pelosi voicing concern, Senate Republicans have voiced concerns. About 20 Senate Republicans in total are not happy with the directions of the negotiations, but for the opposite reason, because they think the spending is going too high. Here's the thing, though. Let me just squash some of the stuff that's being spread out about this. Oh, even the GOP's against this. 20 Senate Republicans were against the $1 trillion plan. 20 Senate Republicans were against the $1.3 trillion plan, the $1.6 trillion plan. It's the same people who have been against this the entire time. This is nothing new, and those Senate Republicans aren't going to stop a final form bill from going through. If the White House approves it, the House approves it, the House Republicans approve it, and Donald Trump says this is the one we're going to compromise and go forward with, you will get enough Senate Republicans to push it through. Remember, there's 52 Senate Republicans. If 20 are against it, that means 32 are still okay with it. And when Trump says, hey, listen, we're going to go forward with this, you will get enough to vote for it and it will pass. So don't worry about the Senate GOP Republicans who are pushing against it. It really doesn't matter. It's just noise in the background that you shouldn't pay attention to. Larry Kudlow came out out today, and you know that he's one of the major economic advisors to Donald Trump and has been heavily involved in the mix of stimulus stuff. And he said today that Republicans will go along with the $1.8, $1.9 trillion proposal because obviously they're getting some pushback with that, saying the GOP Senate Republicans don't want to go for it. And he's saying, no, they will go along with it if there's a final deal approved. And Kudlow continued and said, I'm talking about the 20 Senate Republicans who were mad at Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and saying that the proposal of $1.8 trillion was way too much. Kudlow said, I think we can get this thing settled on the Democrat side, and we will get it settled on the Republican side. There will still be further efforts of negotiations perhaps today, but certainly this coming week. And today he's talking about Sunday and this week. In addition, notice when Nancy Pelosi gave her quotes, she did say that negotiations on the overall funding amount will continue. So negotiations aren't over. Everyone is just hardlining. They're pushing back on each other, but we're about $300 to $400 billion off, and some of the verbiage is off as well. This will continue to be figured out today in the upcoming week. So in addition, Donald Trump was out this morning and he was giving an interview to Fox News, and he briefly started mentioning some of the stimulus stuff. I want to show that to you right now.
New York obviously has been in bad shape. A lot of restaurants are going to go under. The economy there is struggling, and that's one of the issues in terms of this stimulus. Where are we on the stimulus talks? Will you give money to places like New York? Will the government give money to places like New York? Will you agree to that?
Well, Republicans want to do it. We're having a hard time with Nancy Pelosi. She thinks she can influence the election, and I think they're hurting themselves by not doing it. But the Republicans want to do it. We want to do stimulus. We want to help the airlines again because the airlines are always a tough business. We want to help the restaurants, hotels. We want to help businesses that really it's not their fault. It's China's fault. And we want to help them, Maria. And frankly, we're ready to go. We're all ready to go. We can't get Nancy Pelosi to sign the document.
So President Donald Trump there on Fox News this morning, talking specifically about New York and their economic condition, and then rolling over into the stimulus proposal. Will he help out New York and the places that have a lot of economic problems right now? And he was saying yes. He said they're ready to go. Republicans want to do it. And then he was basically stating that Nancy Pelosi is holding this up because she's trying to, quote unquote, influence the election. He believes that she's trying to take votes away from him because she's trying to keep the situation bad. In addition, he stated this about the closures. Many states are still closed and many cities are still closed. And he's saying that those areas are closed off because they're waiting until after the election to open up because they don't want the economy to look as good as it could. We're at something like, 7.5% unemployment right now? But if all those places reopened up, then we would be something like 6% or maybe even 5.9%. It would look incredible. And so Donald Trump is saying this has nothing to do with the coronavirus. This is purely political, and they know it. He continued and said, we are ready to go, but she will not sign the document. Now, the negotiations continue forward. Of course, remember, Donald Trump, although a businessman, is now a politician as well. He is going to press back as hard as Nancy Pelosi is pressing back. They're both doing the same thing. Don't lose heart. Don't look at it and go, it's just impossible, because it's tough, because we're dealing with these individuals who just play politics with everyone's life. Remember this, every time a new offer has been made, there's always the initial, we don't like this offer, it's terrible. But then what always ends up happening is there's a softening, and then there's some sort of we're moving forward. Expect that to happen in the next week or so. Nancy Pelosi is pressing back hard, and so is Donald Trump, and so are Senate Republicans. But expect over the next week for that to soften up a little bit, for some of the language to be more agreed upon between the two sides. And hopefully by the end of the week, we can deliver to you that they are so close that it's probably going to happen. We're not so close that it's probably going to happen yet, but the negotiations will continue forward. As always, I hope you found some value in today's episode. If you're not a subscriber yet, consider subscribing. And if you haven't liked the video yet, consider just pushing that like button. It actually helps out quite a bit. You guys are amazing. Once again, I will catch you next time.